patient, building up drama here. All right, our next presenters will be Juli, who is the marketing director of Skydive Empuriabrava. And we have a prominent skydiver. You're one of the local greats. Juli, you have already met. Why don't you give a little presentation? No, sit down, please. Yeah. Presentation of your...
Hi, everybody. My name is Will Penny. I've been living in, working here in Empuriabrava for the past 17 years. And over the years, been trying to look at ways to give back to the community, and have recently founded a foundation with my partner Allegra Nassi. We founded it 3 years ago, and we've been looking for ways to increase some social responsibility for what we're doing. I think the sport has given us so much, and trying to find ways that we can give back. So after Juli has spoken, I will introduce two of the most exciting things that we're working on at the moment.
And Juli, as I said, he's the marketing director, but he's really the man in charge of this social consciousness of Empuriabrava. Back in our days, we really didn't have it, or not explicitly develop it. It was there, but I think nowadays it's important. I mean, if you want to transmit the very key nature of your business, this has to be an important aspect. Please, Juli.
Thank you. Well, I'll give you a very brief explanation. So, on which is the approach of Skydive Empuriabrava to social responsibility. As Roland was saying, historically, the company has always been helping out different actions, social responsibility actions, but in a manner that was not an established manner. Just like some projects were asking for help, and if finances permitted, we were helping. But that was not other control than this. In 2015, we were restructuring the commercial policy for sales, exactly for Tandem, and what we did was including the social responsibility policy in it. This was helping with two objectives. One, to have a provision for the company of the economical impact of these donations. And the biggest one is that being able to have more money, more resources to give these social actions. This system is simple, quite simple. It's a donation system that it works the following way. For every tandem that we do with photos and video, we keep €3, and periodically we make donations to different charities or foundations for all kinds of social projects. Obviously, the amount of money I give away, it depends on the tandems we do. But as an average, for instance, the last years we've been giving about over €20,000 per year, which is quite, at the end is quite, €3, it seems a small amount of money, but at the end of the year, when you count what all you're giving away, it's quite an important amount of money. And lastly, this year, we have implemented another part, we have added a new action in this policy, which is we committed from 2020 onwards that we will compensate all the CO2 emissions of all of our flights. So we're meeting now about 1,000 tons of CO2, and working with our partner company in Germany, it's called Klima Invest and Carol Foundations. We financing projects that compensate the CO2 emitted by us. For example, now with Carol Foundation, in the past we have worked with several projects, and we have planned to work for more projects in the future. One of them is very interesting, and we'll explain you that deeply. It's called Let the Kids Fly. It's a very interesting project that this includes outdoor skydiving and mainly indoor skydiving. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Juli.
Yeah, as Juli just mentioned, probably the most interesting thing that I would like to speak to you guys about today is called our newest action. Well, actually, it's 1.5 years we've been developing it. It's called Let the Kids Fly. And our previous speaker just mentioned how inaccessible the sport is, how much money it costs. And unfortunately, this puts a huge barrier between anybody being able to do the sport. And I think a lot of our great sportsmen have come from really adverse backgrounds. But this just is not possible in indoor skydiving or any type of skydiving because of the cost involved. So we thought about how to bridge that gap, and we've come up with a really interesting concept. It's called Let the Kids Fly. And what we're doing is we've made a partnership with local communities of underprivileged kids, schools in the Girona and Barcelona areas. And we're going to take 150 kids and we're going to let them do their first flight experience. And then 50 of those kids will be within an age group that they can actually start to work within a year or two. And with those 50 kids, we're going to do a selection process and select 10. And then further down the line, we'll select 3. 3 of these kids will eventually become fully qualified tunnel instructors and be given a place to work in our industry. I think it's quite an interesting and a very innovative way to see how we can identify talent from backgrounds that don't necessarily have the same advantage that we all have had. Obviously, otherwise we wouldn't be in this room, and how we can give back a little bit further. So that all sounds very nice and fun, and it is, but it's a lot of work, and of course to give costs a lot of money. That's probably the thing I've learned the most about by getting involved in non-profit organization, is that it's with good intention and good drive, but somebody needs to pay the bill, basically. So we're reaching out to you guys to help us to achieve this objective, because one thing we're going to do is not give up and not let the kids down. And how we're going to drive that in the background is we're going to make a full-scale docu-reality. And we're already speaking to local and international TVs and online platforms to try to get this whole process aired online. So it will be kind of like those talent contests, like Britain's Got Talent, or all those big shows. And that basically, this I think can also break us into a little bit more mainstream, because there's a little bit of heart and soul behind it rather than just a selfish gain. Yeah, and for us right now, for us to drive this action, to fly the 150 kids, to train them to do the selection process, it's going to cost us 27,000 euros. And we are doing our best to come up with that to make this action happen. We've chosen to work with Windor, as we are located in Empuriabrava, and we have a lot of great contacts here, and it makes a lot of sense for us to integrate the indoor and the outdoor side of that. So we encourage you guys to help us to achieve this, and if you can come up with any ways or any support, please contact us at Carol Foundation, and we can make this happen. And just the last point on Let the Kids Fly that I'd like to touch on is how this format is actually, it has been designed to be completely replicable around the whole world. It's not just close to Empuriabrava. So, of course, with this format, we can do something in Brazil, or something in Thailand, or in China, or anywhere where you have basically a wind tunnel and people from a more adverse background, which is pretty much around the whole world. And then pretty much that closes up my introduction to Let the Kids Fly, and I'd just like to speak a little bit more about what Juli said about our social responsibility for carbon offsetting. We identified a partner who has a long history in working with CO2 emissions and the compensation of that, a German company called Klima Invest. And I think everybody sitting in this room has all lived a really privileged life, and we've spent a lot of time flying and jumping out of planes, or in wind tunnels, or flying across the world. And of course, what we are seeing now is that this has some type of impact on the environment, and we should assume some responsibility towards that. So I think everybody sitting in this room are the right people to be speaking to. It's kind of up to us to lead by example, and I would like to see our industry completely neutral within the next 10 years, 10, 15 years. Totally achievable goal, but we all have to do something. If you have an idea, what does it actually cost in monetary terms? It's cents on the dollar. It's not really a huge amount that we have to give back to sustain potentially the future of our planet. So thank you very much, and if you have any further questions, please contact us at Carol Foundation, and I'll be happy to answer that.
Well, thank you very much. Great. I think right now, to basically stick with the local market and with the topic of ecology and consciousness. I would like to have the gentleman whom I failed to really inform properly this morning about the lesson, the panel that we had, come on stage and tell us about Windor's approach to getting green energy. And please, Jordi Messeguer, the